We are recording EVO. This is my dog, by the way. Hello, Kim Ventura and George Hathaway. Wow, it's great to see you last night on that show with Timmy Ventura. Nice to see you both. Wow. Going back in time, like you did, you're looking well, George, and congratulations on your discoveries. It's been quite a rocket trip, I must say. Holy mackerel. I'm sure you met a lot of people. I sure met hundreds. Oh, Jesus. Remember Dr. Rauscher? She stayed with me for a month in Oregon. Then there's Gordon Novell and Ken Shoulders and many other scientists. I was with Ken on his last days, and as well as Dr. Rauscher. She's on a lot of medication. Last time I saw Gordon Novell, 2012. Unfortunately, he passed away too, so it's like hundreds of different people I've known have gone. But going back to Winfield and Billy Ross, that was that little science fair thing was set up by Mel Winfield, asking me to borrow this and use that and take. He came and took photographs. He'd been taking photographs for months or a couple of months, along with Billy Ross. And that was the beginning, of things, sort of with Mel and Billy. Phew. Yeah, Billy Ross, yeah. He was an interesting individual. I used his phone when Tom Bearden's phoned me to put me on the DTIC program. And Winfield and others. Wow, what a rocket ride. But Winfield, take pictures. I didn't have a camera back then, nothing. Until you lent me a Super 8mm film, which I had filmed stuff. And as well as you filmed stuff that maybe Matthew would be interested in that annular bushing that blew up. I think probably Matthew could probably enhance that segment if you're willing to share that information. And there's some earlier information too that you filmed, I believe. I was adjusting in Mrs. Murphy's in the basement, adjusting a Tesla coil or something like that. Had a ball on it and I was moving these things around. And it was a free energy machine that Pizzaro tested. I don't know if you tested it. I forget. But it's been an interesting rocket ride. But yeah, dressing like this, well, I've always wanted to, and I achieved that some years ago. I made a character of Carla Kidiption, so I do those videos, and I do have a feminine side since I lived with a Billy Ross who was transgender. Until I met Ian years later. Wow, how many years was this Billy Ross? I hope he's well. I don't know. My other business partner is well, Alexander Sharashevsky. He's good friends with Matthew now. He talks about what his adventures with me as well, like you do. But anyway, getting back to that. Yeah. But you're looking well, and I heard from Crawford that you are going to retire or something like that. Timmy looks well too, and I really appreciate you two talking and presenting stuff that's pretty interesting. In regards to mental energies and stuff like that as well. Why would I detect an earthquake? Or feel one, or lightning and that kind of thing. Or see things in the future that kind of happen. It's weird, it's kind of unpleasant, but I filmed some of it. And some weeks ago, an earthquake hit here. Please don't do it again. I don't know why that is, but it's kind of spooky, but I realize that like animals detect things as well as maybe I'm an animal too. What are you up to, Evil? It's my little doggy. he's an Australian Shepherd. He's more intelligent than I am. But you look at me like this, and you wouldn't want to hang out with me, I'm sure of that. But normally I dress in normal clothing. And my first hairstyle was Eva Gabor, if you remember that, with Colonel Alexander in Los Alamos. Which John sent me these photographs and slides some years ago. I don't know why Los Alamos, they say the report was destroyed. But anyway, those early days were quite interesting that you described. Most active time perhaps was back then with Mel as well as you. Let's see, trying to think now. And then I moved to 141 Riverside Drive, North Vancouver, the old Panorama Studio building, because the U.S. Army Intelligence secured that and funded that show and tell, which didn't turn out that well. Some of the effects were way off somewhere in that building. But that's the problem with the effects. They're random and they can appear anywhere. With Timmy Ventura, Harold Berndt filmed a major effect in the apartment. But that effect, I learned later, also went out into the area of New Westminster, British Columbia, Canada, and affected people's dishes and ornaments and stuff, which the news media caught. I like being open with stuff. I'm not a scientist or inventor. I like to be open. It showed everybody, well, it's my fault, kind of thing. So anyway, you forgot to mention that Mel was at an energy conference in Toronto and presented his stuff. And you wrote him out of the first energy conference. That's something to bring up sometime. I didn't go. I'm not into that. My first airplane ride was pretty scary, but I got used to it. And medication, I was on Valium, then I transferred to Xanax. It was 2 milligram tablets 4 times a day. As time passed on, I didn't like the effects of it, and I slowly withdrew, and I'm on about 1.025 at night these days. Well, that was the medication change thing. I had with Billy Roth at the time. Dr. Soylem was his doctor as well, and boy, the time flies, huh? Ooh. Anyway, agoraphobia was pretty severe. And I'm still haunts me maybe half as much. With people now, I'm quite open and I get along with people fine and meet crowds and that, but it's actually the bare open space. After all, gee, George, I traveled to Japan twice, Germany several times, Egypt. So, all that's recorded somewhere, I'm sure. I'm using ChatGPT to find stuff. When I'm bored at night, I'm mostly look at videos and at night answer emails and eBay. Some of the main source of stuff these days. The effects here happened a couple of years ago, but they were minor effects and not as dramatic as before. That's uploaded onto my other YouTube channel. Before that, let's go into effects, ups and downs of how they worked out. Because the dramatic ones in the early 80s, 86 was pretty dramatic. A lot of activity with Jack Houck, which Matthew has found out stuff on how much activity did happen. Canadian government didn't know much about why things were falling or floating. Although I don't know if they filmed that, but that's Dr. Lauren A. Kuhn, head director of Scientific Technical Intelligence, if you recall. After that, I moved to the Murchie Tea Building. Had some weird stuff happen there. That was short-lived because I had to move again. That was all captured on the media as well. the owner of the building, or not the owner of the building, but the person I was renting from was oddly Ken Hutchison. From there on, let's see, then I met Alec and George. We all moved to 13th Street by the hospital, and that's where a major amount of stuff happened. And then big problems with the George, with the case. At that time I met you and I was off to Germany for a couple of years. By invitation of Dr. Peter Kokoschnik, okay. When I returned, a lot of it was destroyed. A lot was given back to me by Richard Blue government, which landed in my sister's garage. And then I sold everything off. I was going to go back to Germany and immigrate. Like a damn fool, I got rid of that important stuff. Then as I got into free energy consulting and built for the Japanese free energy devices and other people too who paid me extremely well. Then Ian got an apartment in New Westminster, and that's where I moved to. In that apartment, a mere 400 square feet, but there was 24 tons of stuff in there. And that was, let's see, when did I move there? 90s. With help of Navy ships, I got a lot of gear and stuff and set up a pretty active area for a number of years. So film crews would come and film it, put it on TV and all that stuff. That was very extremely busy. You're right, maybe a week, every week there was some other film crew. And that was interesting. I enjoyed it. It doesn't bother me any. It was fun, they paid well. Thomas Messer paid me for making energy, this is after Japanese, energy cells. So the most active times of HFX stuff was in that apartment. Wow. Before that, yeah, well, there's a lot of stuff happening. Mostly metal samples. I had crates of them, hundreds of them. So that being said, Timmy Ventura and I appeared on Beyond Invention, and I did some demonstrations with a UFO thing that I used as a lifter in the early days. High voltage wires attached directly to it, which caused unusual things to happen with it, like flipping around like this, going all over the place. It was 30,000 volts direct current on a number 18 gauge wire, polythermalized wire, attached to it with a very slight take-up reel with weight to balance everything so it's almost like weightless. That wire came down onto this kind of little device I made of a pulley, plastic pulley. So you would add maybe pennies until you got the exact kind of weight to the saucer. So it would, if you just almost blew on it, it would float up in the air. So doing that, I applied my radio waves and high voltage to the wire, which caused all that gyrations and cool stuff. I did that a number of times, even for the TV people. No problems, it didn't cause any fires, almost, but and make sure that it's not rubbing against anything. You use plastic stuff, pulleys, proper wire to feed the high voltage. I have one of those high voltage things I used with the U.S. Army intelligence people, called a snapping gap. I got real big ones here now, they're monsters. So there's going to be a lot of sparks happening in here Oh, there has been already some years ago. I filmed that, put it on YouTube as well. But I just wanted to thank you both for appearing on that show, talking about the good old days. I'm sad that Timmy Ventura didn't get to, well, his partner did get to catch it, some of it on tape, but I was with, I believe, Corinne Tyson at the time. I'm such a slut, by the way. I was with Corinne and I was kind of lost interest. Then later on I went with, got married to Helena. That's when I was with Gordon Novell as well. And Dr. Rauscher and other people. So I'm always trotting off getting married. So anyway, along came Nancy. Okay, it was 2010, I believe, 2012. I went through full immigration into the U.S. at the time. Got taking all these guns and electronic stuff, and a whole group of people working on it. So we decided to go to the Gulf of Mexico and try out some of the Hutchison effect frequencies with her frequencies. Very skeptical I was, but she had a bunch of scientists monitoring everything. And Bob Naiman and another scientist was a Navy person. There were a lot of people monitoring it because, make sure these samples were controlled samples full of oil. I'm trying to remember the other scientists who analyzed metal samples. Well, if you want to know, it's on John K. Hutchison /slideshare.net. All that stuff I uploaded years ago. So I was there a year, test results, the media covered it, before and after samples. Then Fukushima happened and Nancy felt an urgent desire to get to Minnesota and set up a kind of a shield effect, which you can do with VLF radio waves. Just like the Navy keeps a VLF bubble around the Earth with their monstrous VLF transmitters. So I did that. There was tests done too. And later on we moved off to Oregon and set up a whole pile of ELF stuff. As well as then moving here to Willis after a short time in Oregon. And in Oregon is where Dr. Rauscher stayed with me for a month, and we got to know each other pretty good. And I'd take her by her wheelchair to the beach area. So a lot of my friends have passed on, and I really miss them. Because I communicate kind of, it's not anybody, I can communicate with Matthew pretty good, and a few others, but not like the old days. There's a whole young generation of scientists like Crawford, Charlie Crawford, and alien scientists, and a bunch of other ones, and a bunch of other people doing stuff too, but I don't know them. I know they're more brilliant than I am. I'm not the scientist, by the way, or inventor, but these people, I get emails from them, sometimes they're very intelligent and know their stuff, I'm sure. So I don't know what you classify me as. I classify myself as a overglorified scrap collector, as well as a walking disaster, a Carla connection. It doesn't bother me. I enjoy that and enjoy myself. I do life extension too, George. I've been doing that since 1990 or in the 80s. I would suggest you study up on life extension as well as how to get rid of arthritis using stinging nettle treatment, which that's kindly Dr. Margarita gave me to her friend doctor. I had a very severe arthritic hip and that went away forever. So I studied more up on life extension. And I take my daily dose of life extension, although I've had a few problems over the years, but there's a clinic just next door. This area used to be part of the hospital, Howard Memorial Hospital, but that closed down, moved a mile away to a modern building. This is a modern building, only a few years old, that I'm in. Next door to the clinic, and beyond the clinic was the old hospital, now torn down. So anyway, I just wanted to cover that. If anything else you covered, George, if your camera or what I filmed, Matthew would be very happy to get a hold of that material. Because it was interesting times. I really appreciate it and hope you're doing well, George. I still have the index head you gave me for trade for metal samples, as well as the electronic part you gave me out of an aircraft. That's still here, so I really appreciate everybody's involvement with a crazy nut like me. I really appreciate it. Happy I met Bob Greener, who's analyzed the samples. Appreciate Matthew uploading stuff you never seen before. When I filmed, the stuff I was doing, it all wound up in VHS tapes, like hundreds of VHS tapes. This stuff you have never seen, or the samples as well. Anyway, closing note, I won't keep this too long. When do you think I'll have effects again like I used to do? Probably in the fall. I think about the fall time, I don't know. We'll see. There has been some weird things happening in here. The early stuff, a couple of years ago, it's uploaded on the YouTube channel. Not this one, another one I had. Yeah, so. Yin as well. Bob Greener as well. Who else should I talk about? There's a few others, I guess, right? Kevin Shoulders and I hung out quite a bit as well. I was always at his various other homes he kept moving to. One with Dr. Rauscher, and then there's a good nice video of Gordon Novell and I hanging out. Nancy filmed that, so. Anyway, I was actually meet up with Colonel Alexander this last winter, but never got to it because Nancy's got a sore leg on her ankle, so she can't drive that far to Nevada. Although a lady friend of mine went to Nevada and met up with Colonel Alexander. Stunt actress Caroline Allard for Scully in the X-Files TV show. I don't know whatever happened to her either. We hung out for maybe half a year. I gave her Colonel Alexander's address. She took off and met up with him. She's into a lot of different unique things. But anyway, I'll shut up. I'm going on and on and on. It's going to wind up to be a long time. So I spent a couple hours sitting in the sun. I'm mostly very active with machinery and stuff, making things. And scrapyard hanging out 100 miles away, but maybe every 4 or 5 months. Get there, I was there months ago, I guess it was now. But they have a massive scrapyard with, I made a video with the owner too. But yeah, okay, so that's Winfield. I did have another exhibit myself. Expo 86 Psychic Fair. I would give a demonstration every hour. And that's was recorded, of course, by the media, but I don't have copies of those videos. I saw it on TV at night one time. I was in the BC Place Stadium. I think it was about a week. And they scheduled to me every hour for a demo, a quick one, which I did too. Because all the psychics said would upset their readings. You might need to contact the news people in Canada or in Vancouver about all the other videos. There's lots of other ones that I didn't get access to, like my 1978 stuff. That was a big episode. Gun control. There was there every day. The media is written up in the newspapers, written up on TV. Yeah, that's where I met Alan Edwards. 78, then in 2005. No, sorry, hold on. 1985. Alan covered one of my demonstrations. We got stuff levitating and metal moving around. You might want to check that one out too, George. But anyway, I'm going to go. And I'll bore you both to death, but I just want to say hi. Good seeing you, and good luck with your discoveries, I'm sure. Wow. I was impressed. Thank you, Tim, for having George on. And I've seen also Major Peter Garrison on your show, as well as Bob Greener. So, you take care, guys. Keep in contact. Come visit sometime. Take care. I promised Garrettson a demonstration too. Plus Colonel Alexander, plus many others. We'll see what happens. See what happens. Oh, gonna go. Talk too long here. It gets a little boring. That's okay.